If you're over 60 and your sciatica keeps returning no matter how faithfully you stretch, the true cause of your pain may not be what you've been told. It might not be a disc problem at all. Instead, it could be linked to a subtle mineral deficiency that weakens connective tissue and leaves nerves vulnerable to irritation. I'm Dr. Emily Carter, and today we're re-exploring a connection that rarely gets attention in routine medical visits. The relationship between recurring sciatic pain and a specific nutrient your body may be lacking. What? You about to learn could shift the way you think about your symptoms and potentially help you move beyond temporary relief. Before we go deeper, I'd love to know where you're watching from and your age. Share it in the comments below. Understanding who's here helps me create content that truly supports your health journey. Let's begin by clarifying what sciatica actually is. Sciatica refers to irritation or dysfunction of the sciatic nerve, the largest and longest nerve in the human body. This nerve originates from 5 nerve roots exiting the lower spine and sacrum, merging into a thick bundle, roughly the width of your thumb. From there, it travels through the buttock, down the back of the leg, and into the foot. When something disrupts this nerve, the sensations can vary widely. Some people experience sharp shooting pain. Others describe burning, numbness, tingling, or a deep aching discomfort that refuses to go away. The symptoms may stay localized in the hip or radiate all the way down the leg. Stretching exercises can absolutely help. In fact, many stretches are excellent for temporarily reducing tension and relieving pressure. But what frustrates many people is a pattern: relief now, pain later. The discomfort fades for a few hours, only to return by evening or the next morning. So the real question becomes, why does the pain keep coming back? In approximately 90% of cases, sciatica involves the spinal discs. These discs act as cushions between the vertebrae. Each disc has a tough outer layer and a softer inner core, similar to a jelly-filled donut. When the outer layer weakens, the inner material can bulge outward. If that bulge presses against nearby nerve roots, sciatic pain can develop. This explanation is well known, but it may not tell the whole story. While researching nerve-related conditions, I came across a disorder that completely changed my perspective. It's called myelin. The term combines myelo, referring to the spinal cord, and neuropathy, meaning nerve damage. Together, it describes dysfunction affecting both the spinal cord and peripheral nerves. The symptoms are strikingly familiar: burning sensations, numbness, severe pain, muscle weakness, and altered nerve function. But here's the part that captured my attention. One of the most common causes of myeloneuropathy is copper deficiency. Yes, copper, a trace mineral most people rarely think about. Although deficiencies in vitamin E or folate can also contribute, copper deficiency appears repeatedly as a major factor. That discovery raised an important question. If copper deficiency can damage nerves, could it also influence sciatic nerve problems? The deeper I looked, the more intriguing the evidence became. Copper plays a critical role in numerous enzymatic processes throughout the body. One of its most essential functions involves collagen production. Collagen is the structural protein that provides strength and resilience to connective tissue. And what are spinal discs largely made of? Collagen! In fact, roughly 3/4 of the outer disc structure consists of collagen fibers. If copper levels are inadequate, collagen synthesis becomes compromised. Over time, this can contribute to weakened disc integrity, making discs more susceptible to degeneration, bulging, or herniation. But the story doesn't end there. Copper is also deeply involved in nervous system health. It supports enzymes necessary for nerve signaling, energy production within nerve cells, and the formation of myelin, the protective sheath surrounding nerves. Myelin acts like insulation on electrical wiring. Without it, nerve transmission becomes erratic, and nerves become more sensitive to stress. When you consider these roles together, a pattern begins to emerge. A copper deficiency can weaken connective tissue. It can reduce collagen stability. It can impair nerve protection. It can heighten nerve sensitivity. Suddenly, recurring sciatic pain looks very different. What if part of the issue isn't just mechanical compression, but reduced structural support and impaired nerve resilience? Even more fascinating is copper's long history in pain management. Copper bracelets, copper-infused patches, topical creams, and wearable supports have been used for centuries. Many individuals report noticeable improvements in discomfort and inflammation. While modern research hasn't fully explained the mechanism, theories range from microabsorption through the skin to copper's influence on electrical conductivity and local tissue environments. Historical records show that ancient civilizations, including the Egyptians, used copper for joint pain and inflammatory conditions. Despite skepticism from some modern organizations, anecdotal reports remain widespread. Externally applied copper is one discussion. Internal copper status is another, and arguably the more significant one. Because if the body lacks sufficient copper, multiple systems can be affected simultaneously. Discs, nerves, blood cells, energy production, bone strength, and antioxidant defenses. Copper participates in creating red blood cells. It contributes to bone formation. It supports neurological balance. It assists in melanin production. It aids cellular energy pathways. A deficiency can manifest in unexpected ways, including fatigue, nerve disturbances, tissue weakness, and musculoskeletal vulnerability. Which leads to the next logical question. How does someone become deficient in copper? Diet is one factor. Copper-rich foods, such as shellfish and organ meats, are not commonly consumed in many modern diets. Even individuals who eat reasonably well may fall short without realizing it. But diet alone isn't the whole explanation. Certain minerals compete with copper for absorption. High zinc intake, for example, can suppress copper levels. Excessive iron supplementation may have a similar effect. Large amounts of isolated ascorbic acid, particularly in multigram doses, can also interfere with copper balance. Environmental and lifestyle influences matter too. High stress and elevated cortisol, excessive sweating, heavy sugar consumption, frequent alcohol intake, overuse of refined flour products, exposure to fluoride, chronic medication use. Each of these can gradually deplete copper stores. There is also another possibility that deserves attention: genetics. Some individuals may carry variations in genes responsible for copper transport and utilization. These DNA polymorphisms can reduce absorption efficiency, meaning a person could consume adequate copper yet still develop functional deficiency. Research has linked such genetic variations to increased risk of nerve compression disorders and bone fragility conditions in which collagen integrity is crucial. When you connect these dots, it becomes clear that copper status is not a trivial detail. It may influence structural stability, nerve protection, and long-term resilience against pain syndromes. And this is where many people, especially those over 60, face a hidden after the age of 60. The body undergoes changes that many people underestimate. Nutrient absorption becomes less efficient. Stomach acid production often declines. And this matters more than most realize because adequate stomach acid is essential for absorbing key minerals, including copper. At the same time, many older adults are taking medications that further interfere with mineral uptake. Acid-reducing drugs, certain blood pressure medications, and long-term prescriptions can subtly alter digestion and absorption. Over years, even a mild impairment can accumulate into a meaningful deficiency. Now, combine that with age-related disc degeneration. Spinal discs naturally lose hydration and elasticity over time. The collagen matrix that once kept them strong gradually thins. If copper levels are insufficient during this period, the body struggles to maintain and repair what remains of that structural support. In other words, you're facing two pressures at once: increased wear and tear, reduced repair capacity. That's a perfect setup for recurring sciatic irritation. Think of your disc like the sidewall of a tire. If the structural fibers weaken, the tire becomes more prone to bulging under pressure. Stretching may temporarily ease the load, but it cannot rebuild the tire's integrity. Only restoring the underlying materials can do that. Copper contributes to rebuilding those materials. By supporting enzymes involved in collagen cross-linking, copper helps reinforce the connective framework that stabilizes discs, ligaments, and tendons. Without enough copper, collagen fibers may be produced, but they lack optimal strength and resilience. This distinction is critical. You can't simply stretch away structural weakness. But collagen isn't the only piece of the puzzle. Let's talk about nerves. Copper plays a vital role in maintaining the myelin sheath, the protective covering around nerves. Myelin ensures that nerve signals travel smoothly and efficiently. When myelin integrity declines, nerves become more reactive, more easily irritated, and more prone to transmitting pain signals. This means that even mild compression or inflammation can feel disproportionately intense. A nerve that lacks proper protection behaves differently. It becomes hypersensitive. It misfires. It struggles to recover. That's why some people experience persistent burning, tingling, or electric-like pain even when imaging studies show only minor disc changes. The nerve itself may be part of the problem. Now imagine addressing both factors simultaneously, strengthening disc-supporting collagen, supporting nerve repair and protection. This is where copper re-enters the conversation as more than just a trace mineral, but as a potential therapeutic lead over the years. I've seen individuals follow every conventional recommendation. Physical therapy, stretching routines, massage injections, pain medications, yet the relief remained temporary. Why? Because symptom management is not the same as tissue restoration. When underlying nutrient deficiencies exist, the body simply lacks the raw materials required for repair. Once copper status was corrected, something remarkable often happened. Pain episodes became less frequent. Intensity decreased. Recovery improved. Mobility increased. Not overnight, but steadily. That timeline makes sense biologically. Collagen remodeling and nerve repair are gradual processes. They require weeks, 2 months, not days. Which brings us to practical action steps. If copper deficiency may be contributing to sciatic symptoms, what can you realistically do? Let's break it down into 3 strategies. Strategy 1. External copper support. Some individuals experience noticeable relief using copper-infused braces, wraps, or patches. These products are designed to sit over the hip and upper thigh region where the sciatic nerve travels. Are they a cure? No! But they may help modulate discomfort while deeper corrections are underway. The mechanisms remain debated. Possibilities include subtle mineral transfer through the skin, local electromagnetic effects, or placebo-associated neuromodulation. Regardless of the explanation, many people report reduced pain or improved comfort. And importantly, these approaches are generally low risk. Strategy 2. Copper-rich foods. Dietary intake is foundational. Foods naturally high in copper include beef, liver, and other organ meats, oysters and shellfish, cashews, dark chocolate with minimal sugar, grass-fed beef seeds, and certain nuts. For individuals with marginal intake, simply improving dietary copper can support long-term balance. However, food alone may not be sufficient in every case, especially if absorption is compromised or depletion has been long-standing. Strategy 3. Copper supplementation. Supplementation allows more precise correction. A cautious, gradual approach is essential. Rather than jumping to high doses, begin with a low amount. For example, around 2 milligrams per day. Over several weeks, the dosage can be slowly increased, allowing the body to adapt while minimizing digestive discomfort. In situations of suspected deficiency, higher temporary amounts may be used under professional supervision. After a correction phase, many individuals transition to a maintenance dose. Why? Gradual adjustment matters. Copper influences multiple enzyme systems. Introducing too much too quickly can trigger nausea or gastrointestinal upset in sensitive individuals. Slow titration improves tolerance. Balance is also crucial. Copper and zinc interact closely. Excess zinc can suppress copper absorption, while excessive copper without adequate zinc can create imbalance. For maintenance, Ratios often matter more than absolute numbers. This is not about it's about restoring equilibrium. And while addressing kappa, remember, stretching still matters. Movement still matters. Posture still matters. Correcting a deficiency does not replace mechanical care. It enhances it. Stretching reduces immediate nerve tension. Nutrition supports long-term tissue integrity. Together, they create a more sustainable recovery environment. One of the most important lessons here is patience. People often abandon nutritional strategies too early. Unlike painkillers, nutrients don't switch off pain instantly. They enable biological repair, which unfolds over time. Give your body the opportunity to rebuild, especially after 60. Healing is less about quick fixes and more about consistent support. In the final part, I'll walk you through warning signs of copper imbalance, safety considerations, and how to monitor your response. Intelligent labus. While correcting a potential copper deficiency can be powerful, it must be done thoughtfully and safely. Let's begin with an essential principle. More is not always better. Copper is a trace mineral. Your body needs it in small, balanced amounts. Too little can contribute to problems, but too much can also create symptoms. The goal is restoration, not excess. Recognizing possible copper deficiency. Although laboratory testing is not always routine, certain patterns may raise suspicion of low copper status. Unexplained fatigue or weakness. Frequent nerve-related sensations. Tingling, burning, numbness, reduced exercise tolerance, fragile connective tissues, poor wound healing. Increased susceptibility to tendon or ligament discomfort in some individuals. Recurrent nerve irritation, including sciatica, may coexist with these broader signs. But remember, symptoms alone cannot confirm deficiency. They simply suggest areas worth exploring. Safety considerations before supplementation. If you're considering copper supplementation, pause and evaluate your personal health context. You should speak with a healthcare professional. If you have liver disease, have Wilson's disease or disorders of copper metabolism, are taking multiple mineral supplements, are on long-term medications, have a history of unexplained nausea with supplements. Why? This matters. Copper is processed and regulated through the liver. Individuals with impaired liver function require medical supervision before adjusting copper intake. Understanding dosage and tolerance when increasing copper intake. Gradual progression is key. Some individuals tolerate low doses easily but experience digestive discomfort if they increase too quickly. Temporary nausea is usually a sign to reduce the dose and advance more slowly, not to push through. Your body's feedback is valuable. Listen to it! Signs of possible excess copper. Although uncommon with responsible supplementation, it's important to be aware of potential warning signs of imbalance. Persistent nausea, metallic taste, abdominal discomfort, headaches, unusual mood changes. If any of these occur, discontinuing supplementation and seeking professional guidance is the appropriate response. Why mineral balance matters. Copper does not operate in isolation. It interacts closely with zinc, iron, vitamin C, manganese, for example. Excess zinc can suppress copper absorption. Excess iron may compete with copper. Large doses of isolated ascorbic acid may reduce copper availability. This is why a balanced nutritional strategy often works better than focusing on a single nutrient indefinitely. In many cases, a high-quality multimineral supplement combined with targeted copper when needed provides a steadier foundation. Monitoring your progress. Healing from connective tissue, weakness, or nerve irritation is gradual. You may notice improvements, such as less frequent flare-ups, reduced intensity of pain, faster recovery after activity, improved stability or endurance. These changes typically emerge over weeks to months, not days. Consistency matters more than intensity. The bigger picture of sciatica recovery. Let's zoom out for a moment. Sciatica is rarely caused by one single factor. It usually reflects a combination of influences: mechanical stress, postural habits, disc health, muscle balance inflammation, nutritional status, stretching addresses, mobility, strengthening, improves support, nutrition, enhances repair capacity. Ignoring any one of these can limit progress, but when they work together, the body's ability to recover improves dramatically. Why this conversation is so important after 60, the margin for error narrows. Small deficiencies that went unnoticed in earlier decades may now produce clearer symptoms. Repair mechanisms slow. Degenerative changes accumulate. Nerves become less tolerant of irritation. That's not pessimism. It's physiology. But it also means targeted support can have meaningful impact because when you remove hidden obstacles to healing, the body often responds better than expected. Your practical action plan if you suspect copper deficiency may be contributing to persistent sciatic discomfort. Review your diet. Are you consuming copper-rich foods regularly? Evaluate depletion risks, high zinc, excess vitamin C, high stress, refined foods. Support mechanical health. Continue stretching, mobility, and strengthening exercises. Consider external relief tools. Copper braces or patches may help with symptom management. Explore supplementation. Cautiously begin low. Increase gradually. Prioritize. Balance. Be patient. Tissue repair and nerve recovery require time. A final thought. Chronic pain often drives people to chase stronger interventions, more medications, more procedures, more aggressive treatments. Yet sometimes, the missing piece is surprisingly simple. A nutrient your body quietly ran out of. Not glamorous, not dramatic, but biologically essential. If this perspective gave you a new way to think about sciatica, consider sharing it with someone who might benefit, especially those over 60 who feel stuck in cycles of temporary relief. Subscribe for more science-informed strategies designed specifically for healthy aging. And if you've experimented with nutritional approaches or copper support, I'd love to hear about your experience. Until next time, stay active, stay curious, and remember, healing often begins by asking better questions.